In this video, I'm going to go over everything I learned from launching a program that generated $0. Last week, I announced my new online course and I made no sales. Well, that's not entirely true. When I scripted this video, I was sitting at $0 of revenue generated, but a few hours after I finished doing that, I did have one sale come in. However, I think the lessons remain the same nonetheless. Over here in my business, we are of the principles of authenticity and transparency, and so I think it's really important that I share this story with you in hopes that you can learn some lessons that I've learned in this journey, and just to really show you the real side of being an entrepreneur that I feel like not a lot of people talk about on the internet. So again, through the course of this video, I'm going to go over the process of what the failure looked like, what lessons I learned in that experience, and what I hope to do differently in the future. Despite what the gurus on the internet want to tell you about how every offer they've ever made generated thousands of dollars in their business, I think it's really important that we shed some light on the idea that not every idea we have lands with our audience, and that's okay. It's about understanding what didn't work so that in future we can try to do better next time. And speaking of this idea, if you haven't already watched last week's video, I would really encourage you to go watch this right here because I unearth a lot of my true opinions about the coaching industry and tell you my personal story being scammed out of $4,500. Anyways, I think it's important for us to be having these conversations about failures in entrepreneurship so that we can use those lessons to, again, do better next time and to help others like you also do better in your future launches as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Those of you that have been following me for quite some time know that I started my entrepreneurial journey back in 2018 as a private yoga studio owner. Fast forward to 2020, it's the pandemic, we're all sitting at home, and I decided to jump on this little app called TikTok. Essentially, I started documenting my journey there as a small business owner in Canada, and next thing you know, I began to amass a following. I began answering people's questions about sales tax, bookkeeping, growing a business, getting clients, anything and everything small business related. Again, if you've been here a while, you know this story. Finally, in 2021, I decided it was time to start building an email list. I put together a bookkeeping spreadsheet, which later turned into a full-blown small business checklist, and I started to collect emails from other Canadians who wanted to learn how to start a business. Life was good. Naturally, people started asking me in email and in the comments on my TikTok videos, like, how can I work with you? And so I started to put together one-on-one coaching. And for a while there, month over month, I was completely selling out all of my coaching spots. And so fast forward now to 2022, I still find myself answering a lot of the same questions in all of my TikTok videos. How do I create a business idea? How do I start a business? What should I sell? What are taxes? How do I market myself online? And so I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if I put together a guidebook that could walk people through this process step by step, all the way from start to finish? And so that's what I did. I actually created a 25-page ebook that walked you through every component of starting a business, from crafting an offer to pricing your product to doing your bookkeeping to figuring out how to market yourself online. But at the end of the day, I just wasn't happy with the format. I felt like with an ebook, I couldn't fully dive into the detail of each of these topics in a way that would do it justice and allow a complete beginner to feel confident in building that business. And I really wanted to make sure that I was putting together something that would generate actual value for people because, again, if you've followed my content and you know about like the principles of what I believe in, I think the internet is full of a lot of really low tier offers that are put at a high ticket price. And so you spend a lot of money, but you don't learn a lot of stuff. And so I really wanted to make sure that I was packing as much value as possible into this offer so that people weren't just like buying another PDF that they were never going to look at again. And so what I did was I decided to build it out into an online course. Now, to some of you, that might sound crazy because the idea of starting an online course might seem really overwhelming, but in my previous business, I had actually created 3 online courses. So I was familiar with the process, and obviously I love content creation. I love making videos. And so it just seemed like the most natural and easiest format that I could go with to, again, be able to present my audience with that value that I was looking to offer. And so I decided that with this online course, I was going to actually build out a waitlist for it and then just launch the offer to that specific waitlist to the people that were really interested in potentially buying it. And so test it, I did. And so I created anticipation. I built out this wait list. I wrote an email sequence for the course of the week that it was going to launch. And I had a very specific cutoff that after that point, nobody would be able to access the course. And so again, when I originally scripted this video, I hadn't sold a single one, but very close to the cutoff time. I think the cutoff was like midnight. Around 9 p.m., I sold one offer. Now, previously for me, email marketing has always yielded at least a few sales anytime I have put something out there. And because these people had opted into this specific segment for this offer, I was pretty confident that I was going to get at least a handful of sales. And so when that didn't happen, I was kind of like, this is really interesting. And so this process taught me a few really valuable lessons. And if this was me 2 or 3 years ago, I honestly think I would have died of embarrassment. And I certainly would not be making a full-length video on YouTube to talk about it. I would just move along and hope no one noticed and act like nothing ever happened. But as we move into 2023, again, I think it's really important that we practice transparency and we talk about these failures in our business. So I really want to assess what happened here and use that information to not only move forward, but to hopefully help you in your launch, in your business, and to take these lessons and apply them to your own strategy. So let's all go along for this ride and hope that none of us make these mistakes in future. Okay, in all honesty, looking back at this launch process, I think that I generally just had a really bad launch strategy. Well, actually, I really didn't have a strategy at all, and I think that was the problem. Now, I did post a lot on my Instagram stories, to my email list, on TikTok, but I don't think I spent enough time really warming up my audience to the idea that I was going to be creating this offer. It was kind of this process of like, oh, I'm working on this thing. Oh, here's the thing. Oh, and now it's gone. Too bad you missed your chance. Radio silence. Not to mention everything was kind of just like muddled in with my regular Instagram and TikTok content. And so unless you are one of the people that religiously follows my journey and watches all of my posts, all of my Instagram stories, all of my TikTok content, it's likely that you might have missed it along the way. And as a creator, it's always really important for me to be consistently showing up, sharing my message of how to start and grow a small business. But I think that in retrospect, it might have been more beneficial to set some of that regular programming aside and focus more just on the launch of this product. Like if I had have just focused more on the benefits of the program, what pain points it was going to be solving for my audience, and really centered my content in that time period around that focus, I think that that could have yielded better results. And it also would have allowed for that runway and timeline to be a little bit more extended so that people who, again, aren't as religiously following me so closely would still have the opportunity to know about what's going on. So in addition to really rushing the pre-launch strategy, I think I really just rushed the process as a whole. I built this outline for the course, assumed people would want it, and then just rushed to start promoting it to everyone while I was still building out the content for the course. Now, that's not to say I rushed the actual creation of the content of the course, but I think I just got so excited and wanted to tell everyone about what I was doing that I just kind of did everything all at once. Before I really had the chance to actually sit down and strategize and articulate what it was that I was offering. And I didn't really think about the best way to talk about it. Honestly, the whole thing was just poorly timed. At one point, I actually felt like I had been procrastinating and that it was taking too long. So then it was like, okay, I need to put this thing together and just get it out there now. And so because I had said I was going to launch it in November and then the end of November was approaching and I was going on vacation at the end of November, I was like, I got to get this thing out there because I told the people it was going to be coming. And then it kind of just like, boom, went out there and it maybe wasn't the best thing. It was honestly all just a bit of a mess. Honestly, continuing with the last point, I think that really just the timing of the whole thing was kind of just a bad idea in general. The launch week actually ended up lining up with Black Friday, which I'm sure, as you know, is already a notoriously bad time for a lot of spending, whether it's sale items for yourself or gift giving for others. But you're essentially just being inundated with emails and contact information from a ton of different businesses trying to get you to buy their stuff. So it's really hard, I think, to stand out in a sea of a million other offers. And to be honest, most people probably aren't thinking about how to build a business during this time period because they're already really busy and stressed out with regular life this time of year. It was really just a complete oversight on my part. And I think that, again, I was just so excited to share this offer that kind of wasn't even a consideration that I made when I thought about launching this product. Now, the offer itself launched at $197 Canadian for lifetime access to the course content, as well as one-on-one access to me, which I genuinely still believe is an excellent value for this offer. However, my assumption was that because people had opted into my business-related content, whether it was on TikTok, here on YouTube, my email list, etc., I assumed that they would want to opt into a higher level paid offer as well. And again, keep in mind that at the time that I decided to put together this offer, I was selling out my one-on-one coaching month over month. So while I assumed the demand would be there, the reality was that it wasn't, or that I wasn't reaching the people that I needed to be. And so what I learned was that I probably should have tested out a smaller, simpler, and less expensive version or iteration of this product to really see if there was a market for this thing that I thought people wanted. Product market fit is always going to dictate the success of your offer. And if it isn't there, it's time for you to reevaluate. So here are the key takeaways that I learned in this experience that I want to share with you in hopes of helping you have more success in your next launch than I did in my current one. First one being, don't let excitement get the best of you. I know there's this temptation to rush things, but I really encourage you to just take your time, create an actual strategy, bait out your audience, and really build up that temptation for the offer. This also means getting super clear on your pre-launch messaging. Like, who are you trying to help? How are you going to help them? And I think in retrospect, focusing less on what the course or product is and what the features of it and the offer looks like, and understanding how that person purchasing that offer is going to benefit from it. And I know that's like a very surface level marketing principle that we're always focusing on, the benefits of our product and what that means for our customer's life. But when we're caught up in the actual launch process, I think we can really get excited about, I built this course and these are the millions of features that you're going to get and the things you're going to learn. But people don't really care so much about that, so much as they care about the transformation they're going to get from buying that product. So I really would encourage you in your next launch to get super clear and focused so that every time you're showing up and you're talking about the offer, you can work to address some of those particular pain points. So ultimately, it's really about taking the customer along the way on the journey. So maybe showing them the behind the scenes of you creating the content, but more importantly, showing them how that offer is going to fit into their existing life. It's really about building that experience for the potential customer to embody what having that offer is going to look like for them. And I think that's what's ultimately going to convince them to buy. Lastly, and probably most importantly, is to always test your market. And I say this in so many videos of mine, but I guess sometimes we just don't take our own advice. But not every idea we have is a great one, and we don't always know what's best for our audience. Just because we think something is a good idea doesn't mean that in practice it actually is. And so, since we're committing to giving ourselves enough time for our next launch, I want you to commit to being willing to test out maybe a couple of different products in that process. And again, be realistic with who your audience is. So for me, maybe reflecting on the fact that I was offering a $200 offer to people who are still in the infancy phases of their business and they might not have a lot of capital to be spending on things like an online course, perhaps that wasn't my best idea, but that's okay. I'm reflecting on this experience and I'm trying to think about how can I change it or manipulate it to make it more appropriate for the audience that I'm trying to connect with. Again, it's all about taking that initial idea and then learning from what didn't work so that we can find what does work next time. If anything, this entire process has really just reminded me about the truth of an entrepreneurial journey, and that's that failure is simply just part of the process, and that's okay. Many businesses honestly never end up succeeding, and others take multiple forms of iteration till they find the thing that works. Quite frankly, it's what we signed up for as entrepreneurs. And I truly believe that every failure is taking us closer to that next thing that is going to work. Going into this launch, I know I didn't do it correctly, but I did it anyway. And now I have the ability to reflect and calibrate my marketing efforts to hopefully be more successful in the future. And I hope that in sharing this, it helps to bring you more success in your future as well. Let me know in the comments what questions you have, and if you have suggestions for videos you'd like to see in the future, I would love for you to share that down in the comments as well. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week. And of course, you can follow me over on TikTok and Instagram where I share daily small business tips. I will see you in my next video.